For the very first time, I'll be trying out oil paints. It's the Lily factor! Ding! As I slowly skulked suspiciously by the clearance aisle at Staples, I suddenly stopped, simply because I noticed they had water mixable oils in the clearance aisle for a non-ridiculous price. And I thought, I may be terrified of oil paints, but water mixable oil paints, that can't be as terrifying, could it? After considering the clearance price, I realized it was a steal! So I trotted on over to those Georgian water mixable oil paints and I snatched them right off the shelf. That's when somebody walked up and said, "Hey, is that a sandwich? You can't have sandwiches in here." I said, "No, these are oil paints." I'm just kidding, that didn't actually happen. But something similar happened to me at an airline holding a coat. But that's a story for another day. When I finally worked up the courage to begin trying to paint with oil paints, as this first painting displays, I started with an orange base coat of acrylic paint and then finally worked up the courage to start painting with the actual oil paints. What was kind of funny is I wasn't really sure what to expect texture-wise, and when that red paint came out of the tube, it honestly looked like one of those wax seals of approval. If I were to describe the texture of oil paint to somebody who's never tried oil painting, or just to myself before I did this, it's like painting with rank frosting. I'm very grateful to have water mixable oil paints though, because I was able to clean that brush right in the water. As for regular oil paints, you have to use some sort of solvent. I think some of them are toxic and stuff. You could say I've heard a good amount of oil painting horror stories before. I'll share one though. I had talked to a man, and I think it was like at an art store or something, and he was telling me that when he was really young and he first tried out oil paints, he didn't know much about them, and so he had done this painting, and he said for whatever reason it never dried. He said 20 years later I check back at this painting and it still hasn't dried. I don't know if he missed a step or something, but I really don't want to be checking back with you guys in 20 years and saying, "Ta-da, they finally dried." Although that would probably make for an interesting notification. It's almost been a week and they haven't dried yet, but it seems like today it seemed a little bit drier than the day before, so there's hope for me yet. It's said that they're supposed to take 3 days to dry, but like I said, maybe I'm missing something too. I'm a newbie. First time oil painting. The first painting I did, I already realized a mistake I had made, which I had started with the dark colors of the oil paints first and was mixing them with the lighter colors. But since these paints don't dry quickly, you can't start with the dark colors because then it's really hard to put the light colors on top. So with this painting, I decided to keep it monochromatic with a light blue acrylic paint base color and then painting everything blue on top. At first, the acrylic paint hadn't really dried, so the oil paint started to look a little dull because it was on wet acrylic paint, but once that dried, then it started to get much more rich in color and creamier. So I was really trying to focus more on the blendability of oil paints because there's a real difference. I mean, it's very smooth. At one point I accidentally had a paint color on my brush that was kind of pink, and it left some interesting colors on the blue, and that's when I just decided to take what was left on my palette and put it all over that blue character. So here are the finished products of the oil paints. I have a lot to learn, but I look forward to growing with these paints and hopefully not waiting 20 years for them to dry. So I'd like to thank you for watching, and may God bless you in your life and your art. Bye!